I am lost in learning C. Please help. Dot 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 dot. The problem is that I know a bit basic of C. I learned it on different years of my school and college college years and semesters. So I learned it on different years of my school and college year semesters. Two times it was C. They only teach us basic stuff, like what are variables, functions, loops, structures, pointers, etc., basics of basic. So now I am mid semester of my electronics degree. I wanted to take C seriously so that I have the confidence that I can build what I want when I need to. Okay. So this user, all right, I see. He learned all the basic stuff, variables, functions, loops. So the syntax. He learned the syntax. So now I am mid. Okay. So after reading the wiki, I started reading the C programming, a modern approach. Oh, what a coincidence! That's the same book I'm reading. A C programming language, a modern approach by K&King. Pretty great book. Let's see what this guy has to say about it. The problem is every chapter has more things for me to learn. The problem is that every chapter has more things for me to learn, but the problem is I know basics, so it's boring to read. I mean, sometimes things don't even go inside my mind. I read like greater than 100 pages of it out of 830 pages. I think he meant less than 100 pages, but he put greater than 100 pages. Yeah, buddy. This right here, right? I don't, I don't want to clown on you or anything, right? Or look down on you, but greater than 100 pages. This is greater than 100 pages, okay? So maybe you haven't really learned, let's see, variables, function, loops, right? Comparison operators. So I don't know. Reconsider that. Maybe you haven't learned the basics because this is greater than 100 pages. I know you mean less than 100 pages because before that you mentioned that it's boring. So it's less than 100 pages. Comparison operators, all right? Out of 830 pages. Uh, okay, so let's see what he continues saying. Then I tried KNR, all right? But I heard there are some errors on it, so I quit. So it seems that this guy or this girl guy, they have a problem learning, right, or staying focused, because it seems boring. Reading 830 pages of a programming book just seems pretty boring, and then they quit KNR just because they heard they had some errors. So okay, let's continue reading. Let's see what he says. Then I tried the handbook of Stanford CS 107 course. It was too advanced. Oh my god, dude. So I had to quit too. Alright, so now I have to say something. So, the modern approach book was too basic for you. KNR was really boring. And now the Stanford CS 107 course is too advanced. So I think you have a concentration problem. I think you think that you know basics, but you do not know basics, right? Knowing basics is learning how to reverse a string, knowing how to create your own functions to to stick two strings together, creating your functions to copy a string, using arrays and or pointers arithmetic. So I think you do not know the basics. I think you just know a little bit of syntax. You probably know the syntax, but you do not know the basics. You don't know what programming really is. You just read, learn the syntax, and you think you know basics. So that's why a modern approach was probably boring for you because you already it starts off with the syntax. I'm in chapter 14, I believe, right now, and there's some complicated stuff in there. Trust me, right? Like creating terminal programs and creating terminal programs to create like for example I just finished a programming project where you have to um let me see, I forgot. Yeah, you have to like it's a calendar type of thing, you know what I mean, or to-do list. Maybe it's a to-do list, right, with dates and with dates an hour and the message. But whatever. So I think your problem is that you might think you know the basics, but you only know syntax, right? So I like reconsider if you already know syntax, I reconsider you picking up C programming and modern approach again, and give it in a second try. Um, the beginning might be just syntax, right? And but just stick to it and do all the problems and everything, because if you're finding a course, a university course, to be a little bit too advanced, that means you have not learned the basics, right? And the C programming approach is gonna take you from beginner to intermediate, I believe, and then after that to become advanced. It's not about keep reading; it's about actually making projects, real world projects, and working on real world things. You say you do embedded stuff, I believe. I don't know anything about electronics. Yeah, you said electronics, so I don't know anything about electronics, right? But maybe after you read a modern approach, keep and you finish the book, you finish every single example. I know it's boring, right? I know it's boring to sit down and try to solve problems, but that's the only way you're gonna become intermediate, and from going from basic to intermediate. So please concentrate 100%. Just start reading. And after you become intermediate doing all these problems, then you start doing advanced stuff by working on real life programs. And I hate repeating myself, but that's the way it is. And then for KNR, you should finish reading KNR for historical context, so you know the history of the C programming language and how it used to be. So I recommend you finishing it too. That's the first book I read on C. I read KNR, and then I picked up a C programming, a modern approach. Take it slow, dude. Trust me. Just take it slow. Take your time. There's no rush. If you're under 30 years old, there's no rush. Trust me. Right? Maybe I'm being too biased because I am 30 years old. Let's say if you're under 25, take your time. There's no rush. There's no need to be crazy and trying to learn everything at once. Okay, so then I tried Handbook of Stanford CS 107 course. It was too advanced, so I had to quit too. I know what I have to learn next, like I should learn memory allocation and stuff, malloc, etc. I also learned about a bit of structures. I have to dive deep into pointers and stuff. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, see a modern approach, right? As I think you start learning about pointers after chapter 10 or 12, and trust me, like they have really good examples there on how to use them, and they teach about pointers that point to other pointers. So I really recommend you finishing the book. Trust me. I have to deep dive in, and if you don't know about pointers and stuff and structures, then you don't know the basics, okay? Because that's the basics. That's the intermediate stuff. I have to dive deep into pointers and stuff and other standard library functions and stuff. A bit more on data structures too, and debugging tools, etc., etc. I mean, those won't even be enough. I also want to learn best practices and tips and tricks on C. All right, again, my guy. I see a modern approach to programming. It's not a beginner book. It's not. I mean, it starts as a beginner book, but it gets pretty advanced, all right? And not advanced to the point where you're going to get lost. It guides you. I mean, those won't even be enough. I also want to learn best practices and tips and tricks on C. Like, I mean, I didn't even know I could create an array with pointers, all right? Another thing that makes it seem like you don't know the basics. It was also my first time knowing argc and argv on main function. I learned that while reading CS 107. All right, so you're saying that 107 was too advanced for you, right? It's a mental thing. Like it might seem too advanced, but this is actually like beginner stuff. This is actually like low end intermediate stuff. And again, I hate repeating myself, all right? But C, programming a modern approach, that's gonna help you understand all this stuff, all right? All right, let's continue. Get into it. I'm gonna go pick some strawberries right now. So how do I fill my gaps? So how do I fill my gaps? By reading C programming in modern approach. Again, read it, finish it. Trust me, my guy. Trust me. By the way, I'm an electronics student hoping to get into an embedded world someday. Alright. I don't know. Posts like these get me a little bit mad because these are people who want to be spoon fed all the time, you know? Like they want to read something and then boom, they want it flash into the memory right away. They want to have all the information inside their head. No, take it slow. Take it slow. What do you mean Max is C99? I think he edited that out. I just use C23 in my embedded device. Not sure where you heard that. Anyways, you building things. The best practice will come as you build things, and you're doing it is all you're doing is reading a bunch of nonsense and dumping it. Yeah, I don't know what you've read. It seems like you haven't read much. It seems like you only learned syntax and that's it. So you actually have to read those two books. I recommend just reading those two books and then practicing. Those two books are K&R and A Modern Approach to C by K&Camp. And this is why I hate, let's see. And this is why I hate when people recommend a book. And this is why I hate when people recommend books. Since you already have basic knowledge, you should try to make something. It will be way it will be way better than reading a book. Reference a book when you get stuck. But yeah, making things. Sometimes books will have problems they ask you to program, which is better at first because people will overscope when learning because they just can't conceptualize how complicated something will be. Look for online code challenges. Yeah, this is right. The book by K&Camp, it's a good book. It has a bunch of problems and it makes you think and doesn't even give you the answers. But the problems are easy enough to solve by yourself, but hard enough to challenge you, if you know what I mean. So what are you going to do? Just try things randomly? Google. Google what, though? At this point, people don't even know what they're missing. This is terrible advice. You Google a thing you didn't manage to do, and people know what's missing because they can't use it. Stop reading books and start doing projects. Then read the man pages or search the internet once you have questions got stuck. Yeah, once you learn the basics, once you skip the syntax parts and actually learn the basics and what pointers are and structs and everything, that's when you leave the books and you start working on real life problems and Google stuff. And once you learn how to reverse a string, once you learn how to create your own concat functions and copy functions and work with because all programming is it's manipulating strings or data. That's all it is. Programming for the sake of programming, which it sounds like you're doing, it's incredibly boring. You gotta give yourself tasks, goals, projects, come up with ideas for utilities, programs you want, maybe quick hit games, lifestyle applications, office apps, etc. Things you can find use with. It's through this applied usage of C that you'll increase your skills, not keeping your nose in the book. Okay, so I love this advice. Everything they said is true. But the person who wrote this post is not keeping their nose in the books, right? He tried reading some books, but then he quit reading those books. The only C he knows is the C he was taught in university. That's the only C he knows. All the other books he tried reading, he has quit. So he's not keeping his nose in the book. Take pointers while learning. It helps. That's funny. Maybe try focusing on C11. It's safer than C99. Build something with a limited scope in C, like a library for a specific task. You'll develop intuition in C over time as you use it. C is not a large language compared to C++, Rust, or Python. It's easier to learn. However, it requires a different way of thinking compared to most higher level languages. By the way, you could try other systems programming languages like Zig. Zig is influenced by C but has more modern tooling out of the box. It might be easier to get started. In short, just use C. Doesn't matter what for or what you'll learn, you'll become better at it. Learn C first, enough to interface with the litany of C-libs. All the Rust and Zigs of the world are often wrapping the C-libs, sometimes not completely. Use native interfaces OS, my bad. OS native interfaces are C APIs. Otherwise, I agree. I'm gonna read this last comment right here. Bro, we were all there. Focus on nested loops. Try doing triangles and shapes using nested loops. It's fun. Then focus on data structures, linked lists with pointers, double linked lists with pointers. Search for old C exploit codes, like the code for the Niski worm. C is cool. Just look at cool code on the internet and read through them. Understand and maybe work on an update. Tackle C projects in an area of your competence: security, encryption, malware, networking, etc. And we got this comment right here: Git Linux Mint synonym. Okay. The last comment, I swear. Last comment. OP, I'm also learning C in more depth recently. I've been building a calculator and it's been such a challenge, but it really starts to make you realize what parts of the language you need to practice. In particular, it's highlighted all the nuances of dynamic memory and pointers. I use ChatGPT when I get stuck, but only after taking a significant amount of time troubleshooting myself. Sometimes I'll even prompt it without giving me the code, give me a hint of what is wrong with this. Exactly, without giving me the code. And then sometimes when that gets a little bit hard, when it's not giving you the code, just hints, ask it to give you pseudocode. Sometimes just by giving you pseudocode, like your brain clicks without giving you the actual code. This was a long way of saying build stuff. It really cements the knowledge found in books. Alright guys, that's it for today. I really appreciate it if you stuck here towards the end. I know like a lot of you guys might be beginners. I'm not sure. A lot of you guys might be programmers already. I don't know. But thank you for staying here. And I just want to say that we are at 96 subscribers already. And plus 67 in the last 28 days. So I'm hoping we could get to 100 subscribers soon. It should be fast, maybe. I'm not sure. Well, anyways, this is Jonathan. And have a good one.